Hey guys, so today I am going to show you how I do my just kind of everyday foundation routine. And yes, this is what I do just on a day-to-day basis, going to work, what have you. And I will say, oh, I forgot to do my eyebrows during the video. So don't forget to do those too. But if you want to know how I do my foundation, then keep watching. All right, so this is the foundation routine that I do on a day-to-day basis if I'm going to work. Now keep in mind, if I was gonna go to the pool or run errands or something like that, this wouldn't be my foundation routine. And the difference between this day foundation routine kind of, and if I'm doing something in the evening, there's really not a big difference. It's just usually at night I will do heavier applications, or I will do heavier is kind of a strong word. I will do more. So I'll do more contouring, a little bit more blush, more highlight, you know, that kind of thing. But normally my face stays the same. It's more my eyes that I play up at night. So I already did my eyes, obviously, just a soft daytime deal. All right, first thing, I'm gonna do some concealer. Now, depending on my mood, time of year, etc., I do my concealer first or after my foundation, just depending. I'm doing it first this time because my concealer is lighter than my foundation shade, and so if I apply it on top of my foundation, you can see it more. So I'm gonna go underneath. This is just the Estee Lauder Double Wear Concealer. I'm gonna use it out of the tube. Some people say not to cover your blemishes with the tube or with the applicator because it spreads bacteria. I say do what's easier and quicker for me. So I'm just going to go through and just cover up some of my zits or just little problem areas. Now, I do have more discoloration than normal. I got a little sunburnt, tisk, I know. So that's what that is. And then this is a Bare Essentials, I don't even know what this is, the Smoky V brush. I'm just taking this little side and I'm just going to lightly kind of buff this color in. And I don't blend it completely in because when I do my foundation and I am buffing with my foundation brush, I'm going to buff away a lot of that concealer anyway. So it's not a big deal. And I already did use Proactive. So I use my repairing lotion and I use the oil-free moisture and let that set on my face. But I didn't use any primer or anything like that. And I will say, if I know I have long days, I always mix my Revlon Color Stay with whatever foundation I'm wearing. I don't have a super long day today, so I'm just going to stick with the straight foundation. So I don't know why I just did that. I'm going to be using Makeup Forever HD. This is my favorite foundation for me, for my skin, and this is in the shade 127. I'm gonna shake this up a bit. I don't know if you're supposed to do it, but it makes me feel better. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I just put a little bit on my finger since I'm not mixing it, and then I just dab it on my cheeks. So I do one, not even a whole pump, but just a little bit on my cheek. Same thing, take a little bit more. And the reason I start in the center of my face is because that's where I need the most coverage. So that's where I deposit the most color. And I just do this all at one time. But you can do it however you would like. I don't know if you can see this. I have a huge, well actually it's not huge anymore, but it's a black and brew knot. Have you guys ever shut your head in the car door when you're trying to shut it or open it? Because I've done that before, and this is similar, but almost worse, I think. Long story short, I was getting in the refrigerator at my grandparents' house, and they have, whatever. Anyway, I went to open it really fast because I was in a hurry, and I slammed the corner of it into my head. I had a huge knot. I've never had that happen before, and I got a little lightheaded, so I must have hit it really hard. Like, what a moron. Okay, now this is the Coastal Scents Ionic Buffer Brush. I love this. This is my favorite foundation brush. I think in the last foundation video I did, I was using, I can't grab it because my camera's on it, the Sigma 187 or whatever that stippling brush is. Hate that. Love this. So I'm just going to take this, starting in the middle and pressing it into my skin. all over. And before I start buffing, I'm just pressing this into my skin. And I've been using, I don't know if you can tell, I've been using the Lash Genesis. And it's supposed to be, you know, similar to Latisse, but since I'm a hairstylist and I have a cosmetology license, they sell Lash Genesis at the beauty supply store. And so I get it for half of the cost or whatever that you would sell it for retail. And I've been using it for probably a month and they have gotten longer. I don't know if you can tell. I took before and after pictures or before pictures, but they were a disaster, so I had to delete them. But it's the strangest, but no one's commented on them. And I feel like if they really did look longer, someone in person would say, oh my gosh, your lashes look long. And no one has. So maybe it's my imagination that it's working. I don't know. All right, so here I go. And it hurts when I tap this on my spot. So if I look kind of like a doofus right here, that's why. All right. So now that I've got this pressed in everywhere, I'm just gonna go ahead and buff it in. Oh, and I don't know if I said this before, but also like for evening makeup, I take longer. Does that make sense? I mean, I spend more time doing it. I don't know why either, because you're gonna see more during the day, usually, than you would when it's dark at night. So I'm just buffing this in. And this is a totally random thing, but I notice this in a lot of videos, especially when people are talking about how they hate a foundation or they love a foundation. A lot of times, to me, this is my personal opinion, I think it has a lot to do with your shade match. There have been foundations that I've tried that I've hated. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And it was because the shade was wrong, I think. Does that make sense? Have you ever watched people's videos where they're ranting about a foundation and you're kind of thinking to yourself, all right, that doesn't look like the right shade for you. Maybe that's why. I don't know if that even made sense. All right, so, oh yeah, make sure you bring it down on your neck a little bit too. But this is almost the exact color of my skin right now, so I don't need to worry about it too much. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back, and like I told you before, I applied my concealer before, but I buffed off some of it, so I'm just gonna touch up those little spots that need a little bit more coverage, just back with the foundation again. And you can see it's not every spot, it's just my darker ones. I'm just going to pat my little brush over my spots, a little bit of rubbing. And really, when I'm doing this in the morning, it doesn't take a long time at all. I mean, it might take me maybe 10 minutes to do this whole thing, maybe. And it just takes a little bit longer now because I'm talking and what have you. All right, so I have that. Now I'm gonna do my under eye concealer. And a lot of times I like to use the Makeup Forever 5 Camouflage palette. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in this medium shade, just whatever shade matches for you. I'm gonna go in with my finger and I just dab it under my eyes, just a few little dabs. And then what I like to do is I like to just pat this in with my finger just to make sure I spread out the product up into my inner corner and out. I like to do this first with my finger, and then I'll use the same concealer brush that I used, even though it's not a concealer brush, but the same brush I used for my like face concealer to blend it in under my eyes. So I have that all patted in, and then I'm going to take the concealer brush again and just quickly do just little circles to kind of buff this in a little better, so you don't have that heavy cakey look of the under eye concealer. Now if I was going out at night, I would probably use my Benefit Powder Flage to set under my eyes. I'm not doing that today because that's just another step that I don't want to do. A lot of people will use like a cream blush and then use a powder blush or something like that. I'm not doing that. All right, so I have that all done. Now I'm going to set my face. This is the Laura Mercier Universal Invisible Loose Setting Powder. I love this. And what I do is I don't even need to open it because I have some excess, but I just drop it into the lid. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to take, this is a Sigma SS150 brush. It's just a huge powder brush. Dip it in my powder, tap it off a bit, and then I just lightly kind of press it onto my skin. I know there's a lot of conflicting views on this. A lot of people say, oh, you have to use a powder poof and press and turn and whatever that is. I don't have time for that. So I just use this real fast. But I do press it instead of rubbing it in, because then I do kind of feel like I'm moving my makeup everywhere. All right, so I have that set in. Now, when I have powder on my lips, I'm going to do a little bit of contouring. So I'm gonna take my MAC 109 brush, and a lot of times I'll use Hoola. I'm a little bit more tan now. You probably can't tell on camera, but I'm more tan now than normal since it is the summer. So I'm gonna use Blunt by MAC because it's a bit darker. You can see that. So I'm gonna go in with my 109 brush. And I usually start like right up high here because it deposits a lot of color the first time you put it down. And I've made the mistake before of starting down here and then you get like the dark line. So I'm gonna make the fish face. In small circles, I'm just gonna buff this in. And I'm not pressing hard either. I'm using a really light hand. I don't know if you can tell that, but my dog is sitting on the couch and looking at me like I am an idiot. Can't be. Kitty. A little bit on my temples. Do a little bit on my nose. And then I just kind of look and see if I feel like I have enough contouring. I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna bring it down here just a bit. You can do a little bit on your chin. I do, depending on if I remember how much time I have. All right, so I've done a little bit of contouring. Now I'm gonna do my blush. This is the Sigma SS168, which I love, except it's coming loose. All right, and I am using, this is NYX NYX Blush in Peach. I got this at Ulta. Ooh. Let me open it. Just a super pretty pink. It's a little powdery, but when you get it all blended in, it's really pretty. I don't know why I'm reviewing this. All right, so I'm gonna take my blush. And when I do, depending on the angle that I do, when I'm using my angled brush, I always have the point of the brush up. So a lot of people, I think what they do is they'll do this cheek right, and then when they come to this cheek, they turn the brush differently. I don't know why. Not that it's necessarily gonna make a difference, but I've noticed it looks better when I pay attention to where my brush is. So I'm gonna do the apple face. That's what I call it, because then you see your apples. And I'm just gonna dab the color right here. And I just dab it on. And I never go in past my mouth in this way. And I never go lower than my mouth. So I just keep it strictly right here and bring it up a bit. So same thing on the other side. All right, so now that I have that on, I'm gonna go back with the big brush that I used for the Laura Mercier powder and just real quick, lightly go over my face. I just do this. I think it's more psychological for me that I feel like I'm blending any harsh lines that I have. And then I am going to do a little bit of highlighter today. I only use highlighter really, like I said before, if I have time or if I remember. So this is the MAC Soft and Gentle. It is the Mineralize Skin Finish. And this is, I have a hair in my eye, the Brush Lab. I think this is the contouring brush. I just take just a little bit, and I'm just going to go right above my cheekbone here. And I'm not doing it heavy at all. I'm just going to do a little bit, so if the light catches, it gives a little something, something. All right, so there's that. Now when I'm all done, I am going to set my foundation. I am using the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray. I feel like I sweat a lot, so I feel like this really does help keep my makeup set, even when I'm sweating. I mean, I'm not kidding. I will get out of the car and walk into work, and I'm sweating. Okay, so shake it up really well. Close my eyes, I do about 3 squirts. Let that get in. All right, so here we go. This is it. This is my everyday foundation routine. If you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching, guys.